For more on this, Adam Hancock joins us now from Singapore. So, Adam, the Indonesian President Joko Widodo has been speaking at the summit. What does he have to say?
Yes, he certainly has, and he's called on world leaders to diffuse tensions and avoid creating new conflicts. He's also called upon, nations that are visiting summits such as this to cooperate when they're on the ground at this kind of summit, rather than looking to sharpen animosities. And really, he's kept to the theme that's been prevalent throughout this ASEAN summit, which is one of concern about the looming power struggle between the US and China, which is causing plenty of concern in this part of the world. I mean, it's no accident that both the US Vice President Kamala Harris and also the Chinese Premier Li Qiang have both ended up attending the ASEAN summit for a number of days. They know the significance of this part of the world, but the fear with these ASEAN countries is that any potential conflict between the US and China will probably be played out in this region, be it, over Taiwan or the South China Sea. We're seeing both the US and China trying to engage in this part of the world, both building up their military capacity in this part of the world, and that has been rather unnerving for these countries. And right at the start of this summit, we also heard from the Indonesian president, and he called on ASEAN countries to try and avoid getting dragged into this ongoing power struggle between the United States and China. But perhaps an indication really of how widely felt this is in terms of countries around the world looking at this region and trying to gain support here. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, despite we're almost been on the eve of the start of the G20 summit, which he is hosting in Delhi, he has made the effort to fly to Jakarta to attend the summit today before heading straight back. So really showing how much he considers this an important part of the world and an area of the world where he wants to make India a favorable partner.
And what other regional issues, Adam, are ASEAN leaders trying to tackle there?
Well, one big problem is the ongoing tensions in the South China Sea. We've heard it discussed a little bit at this summit. It's basically competing claims for territory in those waters and also concerns about these reports that China are building military bases in the body of water, which is seen as really being very strategically important. Now, before this summit, China released their own new territorial map, and they appeared to be expanding their claims for what territory they own in the South China Sea, whereas there are some ASEAN members such as Malaysia, Vietnam and the Philippines who stake their own claims to territory. And we have actually seen incidents. Just a few weeks ago, a Chinese Coast Guard vessel fired a water cannon at a Philippines vessel. So there are things happening in those waters that are causing concerns. And there have been talks between ASEAN leaders and Beijing about drafting a code of conduct as a way of trying to govern the situation in those waters. But those talks have been very slow and we haven't seen much progress. Also, the continued unrest in Myanmar is a hot topic as ever when ASEAN meet. Plenty of criticism of the alliance because really we're not seeing many breakthroughs.
All right, Adam Hancock, live for